Hey guys, welcome to another video. Sorry about my voice. I've been trying to fight off something for the past couple days, so it's been a little sore. But anyway, let's get on to today's topic. So you're getting tired of the hand shaky shots that you're filming while you're like creating your film or creating any other content, right? And you kind of want something that can give you some stabilization so you won't get as much of the shaky shots, and so it makes it look a little bit more cinematic or a little more professional. Luckily, there's a ton of options that can help you stabilize your footage, and there's tons of price points for it. So first, if you don't have a lot of money but you want like a step up or like 2 steps up from better handheld shots, there's 2 options for this. Here's your first option. So what I have here on my shoulder is, well, a shoulder rig, and there's many price points for this. I think the cheapest on Amazon is like 50 bucks, but I got this for like $100. So it was a pretty good deal for me, but I had to buy like an extra weight thing on the back for more stabilization, but it was worth the money. What this does is that it gives you a step up from handheld stabilization. So you still get a little bit of the shaky effect shot, but it feels more fluid and more natural. So you don't get all the little jitters and stuff, so it helps you stabilize with that. This is also great for like action movies and action shots, so if you like want to violently pan left for the camera effect, you can. And it's pretty like mobile, and also you can like hold it like on the floor and stuff. You kind of can't see it, but you can like hold it on the floor and like kind of do whatever you want with this thing, and it's pretty durable. Another thing is that you can add on a ton of things on this. Like, so if you want to add a monitor right here, you can. But there are some cons to having this. For one thing, it's a little bit big and bulky. I mean, look at the size of this thing. So if you're like a travel filmmaker, then you really don't want something this big to travel around with. If you want the ultimate stabilization, this probably won't be best for you, but this will give you a nice handheld cinematic look. Our next cheap option of stabilization is a stabilized Steadicam. What this is that it's a counterweight stabilization system. So you put your camera on top of here, and then you put the counterweights at the bottom, and it balances out perfectly, so then you can get nice, smooth, stabilized shots. These are perfect for if you don't have a lot of money, because these go on Amazon for about like $60 at the minimum, and then at the max, you get like the professional glide cam Steadicams for like $800. But if you can't really afford $800, then I'd stick with the under $100 budget. The pros of this thing is that there's no batteries at all, so you can just take it out of the bag and go with you. And it's pretty small and lightweight, so if you're traveling, like, I recommend using this instead of a shoulder rig, because you can just like fit this right in like your backpack or something like that, or on the outside of your bag. Another great thing about it is that it has 3-point axis stabilization. Also, there's not a lot of parts to this, so what it comes with is the adapter quick release plate and then some weights, and then you're good to go. But there are a significant amount of cons to using a Steadicam stabilizer. The first con to this is that this thing is severely affected by weather, so if it's windy, you're gonna see your Steadicam kind of like tilt a little bit or sway back and forth like that. So I recommend if you're gonna go outside, you should probably like check like your weather app to see if it's windy or not, if it's going to affect your workflow. A really huge con with this, and a lot of people have this problem, is that this is not very easy to use. This thing takes a ton of practice. I first bought this and I didn't really practice with it that much because I'm not a very patient person, but you need to have patience for this because it takes quite a while to calibrate the counterweights. It kind of has to be perfectly balanced. If not, it's not really going to work that well. So I was shooting outside. I kind of had a hard time calibrating it. I calibrated it the best I could when I used it, so it's not perfect, but it was like the best that I could do. So what I recommend, if you get this, you have to be patient with it. It's gonna be hard, but it'll be worth it in the long run. Another thing is that you kind of need to have a heavier camera for these, because if you have a lighter camera, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging to use, and it's gonna be a little bit harder to balance. But overall, this is pretty fantastic with stabilization, and it's a great step up from handheld shots. Our third option for stabilization, if you have a little bit more money in the bank, is to get a gimbal. So gimbals are really great. What I have is the Moza Air 1, and I've had this for about 2 years, and this thing has served me so well. This is such an amazing tool. So this is a 3-axis gimbal. So what that basically means is that there's 3 motors that help work to make your shots as stable as possible. And with practice, you can get incredibly smooth, stable shots, like buttery smooth. Also, a great thing about this, if you're a beginner, this is very easy to use. Like, it's incredibly easy to use. Like, anyone can use these. Even my mom can probably use this, and she's not even a filmmaker. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm gonna have to teach you how to use this, so sorry. Another great thing about this is that you can do electronic pans. So you get smooth, stable pans. And then you can also do electronic tilts. And so that's pretty amazing that you can do that with just this gimbal. And also you can do some jib-like motions. Like that. But there are quite a couple of issues with using a gimbal. The first and foremost thing is that it requires batteries. So you're gonna have to make sure that before you do any project or you wanna go out and film that, you have to make sure that the batteries are charged all the way. These batteries probably have a battery life of probably 12 hours per charge. It's not bad, but I've never really had an issue with the batteries dying on me on a set before, so I don't think you'll have that problem unless like you film all day. Another con with the gimbal is that there's weight limits to each gimbal. So what that means is that the heavier your camera, the bigger the gimbal is going to be. And the bigger the gimbal is going to be, the more money you're going to have to spend for that gimbal. But if you have like a light DSLR or like a mirrorless camera, like a Sony a7 III or like a Canon 80D, then you'll be good with a gimbal like this, since it's pretty lightweight. Another con with this is that it's a little expensive owning a gimbal, so you're gonna have to spend a little bit of money for the better stability. So when I first bought my Moza Air, I probably spent like $600 on it when it first came out. So that was about 2 years ago, so it's probably a little bit cheaper now. I'll probably let you know how much it is right now. And yes, it is a little bit expensive, but you get what you pay for because this is more of like an investment, and this is such a great tool to have as a filmmaker or videographer. So now I'm going to test out how these tools stack up against each other in stabilization. So the shoulder rig is kind of like a control, so then you can compare between the Steadicam and the gimbal to see which one's best. I shot everything in 24 frames per second, so no slow-mo and no in-body stabilization or in-lens stabilization or warp stabilizer. So I wanted to see how stable all 3 of these did. So what I did is I asked my friend if I could film him scanning around the parking lot. He said yes, and so I got my other friend with the Blackmagic cinema camera, and we put his Blackmagic on the shoulder because it was a little too heavy for the Steadicam and the gimbal. So, alright, let's show you the footage. Alright. Do you guys like it when I do that, or is that like a copycat of like a famous YouTuber? I don't really know. Probably let me know if you like that or not. So anyway, so what did you guys think of the footage? Comment below and let me know. So it's no competition, but the Moza Air was the most stable out of all three, and it makes quite a bit of sense. So with the money that you pay for, you're gonna get better results. It was super easy to use the Moza Air. I just had to calibrate for like at least 2 minutes and then I was good to go. What I was more impressed about was that when I was skateboarding with the Moza Air and I started pedaling a little bit, you couldn't even tell that I was pedaling with the board because of how stable the Moza Air was. And also when you add wheels into the mix, you get even more stable shots. So my take on the Steadicam stabilizer, I kind of had a hard time calibrating it. Like I said in the very beginning, it took me like at least 10 minutes to try to calibrate it. I was pretty impatient, so it wasn't perfect, but I did my best on it. I was actually quite surprised with the Steadicam's results because it did really well considering that I didn't really calibrate it that well. Yes, there were some shots where it was like a little bit jerky, but it was more fluid than anything, so it was totally usable. So with the shoulder rig's gonna be a shoulder rig. It was the most shaky out of all of them. My friend tried to be as stable as he could, but what can you do? It's a shoulder rig, but the shots I still liked. It still looks super cinematic. With stabilization, it's more of like a stylistic choice of if you want like a super stable shot or if you want kind of a shaky shot in there. So it's more of your preference of what you want. But this is a great tool, and I've used this for so many of my projects. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop using my gimbal or stop using my shoulder rig, because different tools are made for different things. If you want a nice smooth follow shot, then you use the gimbal. But if you want kind of like a action-y shot and you want everything to shake up a little bit and you want to feel like you're in the scene, then you use your shoulder rig. I hope this has helped you guys narrow down your choices of stabilization. I'll leave a link of all of the gear that was shown here in the video. Alright guys, that's about it for this video. I'll see you later. Bye!
Please be careful.
Crap. And I lost it.